Mouin Rabbani is the co-editor of the independent online magazine Jadaliyya, and he joins us from Montreal in Canada. Mouin, thank you very much indeed for your time. So was this a whitewash? And as far as Israel's concerned, is this the closest they'll ever get to taking responsibility?
The short answer is yes. To put this into proper context, every single credible independent examination of Israeli military investigations into the murder of Palestinians over the years, and there have been many, by virtually every leading international human rights group, has concluded that the purpose of such investigations is not a search for truth or an exercise in accountability, but rather it's an exercise in whitewashing and to allow Israel and its military forces to evade responsibility and accountability. In this particular case, we're being asked to believe that a soldier, a professional sniper with a high-powered telescopic sight, was unable to distinguish the letters PRESS on the vest of Shireen Abu Akleh, yet at the same time managed to fire a bullet into the only area of her body, her head, that was unprotected by protective gear. So it's entirely absurd, and it's of a piece with Israel's initial strident, emphatic insistence that she had actually been killed by Palestinians. Then this whole bogus story that there were armed Palestinians shooting in this vicinity, completely dismissing the eyewitness accounts of numerous other journalists who were on site. And I mean, you know, anyone who takes this investigation seriously is clearly woefully uninformed about the nature and purpose of both Israeli military investigations and of the circumstances regarding the summary execution of Palestinian-American journalist Shireen Abu Akleh.
And yet, an investigation by the International Criminal Court, the ICC, appears to be unlikely. The family of Shireen Abu Akleh are certainly calling for that. I mean, would you support that? And why do you think they won't investigate?
Well, of course. I mean, anyone who has an interest in responsibility and accountability, in this case, overwhelmingly, obviously, Israeli responsibility and accountability for the murder of Shireen Abu Akleh would be very interested in this. But unfortunately, the hard truth is that Israel has gotten away with the murder of yet another Palestinian and yet another journalist. And the reason it has been able to do so is because of the active support of the American government and the passive acquiescence of European governments in helping it to evade responsibility. This case is a little unique, if you will, because Shireen Abu Akleh was not only Palestinian, but also a U.S. Citizen. And as your report indicated, a number of U.S. congressmen have called for a serious investigation into this murder on a par that is routinely conducted when other American citizens are murdered abroad. But with the support of the White House and the State Department, Israel has been able to successfully pretend that the truth is unknowable. You know, they talk about likelihoods and probabilities, and those are terms to deny what is in fact a certainty, which is that an Israeli sniper who was not facing any threat at the time of the murder deliberately shot and killed a Palestinian journalist on May 11th in Jenin refugee camp.
Yeah, the US Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, has certainly called for accountability, and he's also said there should be a review of how the Israeli military conducts its rules of engagement. But from what you've just said, I suspect you would say that that's just empty rhetoric.
Yes, it is indeed empty rhetoric. I mean, imagine if this was a case of an American journalist being shot and killed by a Russian sniper in Ukraine. I don't think we'd see the same kind of, you know, general mealy-mouthed statements that we've heard from Secretary of State Blinken that, you know, there should be a proper investigation and there should be this and there should be that, the full force of the US government would have been deployed to demand the truth and accountability for those responsible. We have not seen any of that here, and nor are we going to.
Okay, we thank you very much for your time, for coming on the programme. That's Mouin Rabbani, co-editor of the independent magazine Jadaliyya. Thank you very much indeed.